Okay, that's been restarted. So let me look on my actual OBS settings. Uh, Output streaming. I can't chase this while I'm live. All right, let's see if this makes a difference. Because like the voice acting is a big part of the game, so I don't want to like want to make sure you guys can hear that. You guys hear it now? Still no. God damn it. uh, I don't understand. Hold on. Hold on. Let's ask Google. Hmm. Come on. That's so weird. This doesn't do this with like other games and stuff. Hey, what's up, Syrup? It's been a while. I am trying to get the voice acting to work in this game, and I don't understand why the hell it's not working. So it doesn't make any sense. Like I've got all the settings like I do on every other game, but for some reason this one doesn't want to work, and it's annoying. Like they like an anomaly. I haven't actually played this game before, so I don't know if that's probably a reference to it, but shit. I've got capture audio on, and I'm capturing the particular window, right? Match title. Otherwise, yep, window title must match. There we go. Okay, got that. Capture cursor, use NHE compatibility hook. Capture third-party overlays. That doesn't do anything. Normal. All right, that looks like it's all. Oh, nice. Hell yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I figured it had to do with like otherworldly and extra dimensional and like all that kind of good stuff. So, uh, shit. Well, let me. I wonder if I put a secondary source, I guess, for the audio, maybe. I could try that, I guess. So let's do audio output capture, defaults, cancel, actually. Maybe I need to capture desktop audio. Okay. So let's see if this makes a difference for the 100th times here.
I know I shut you out sometimes.
Desktop audio doesn't seem to be doing
I'm
anything.
always glad to hear from you. It's just that
Wait, is it working now?
Up. So many times
there we go.
It's led to
Hell
nothing.
Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. That took a minute.
Nothing.
All right, let me make sure I can see you guys and I can see Twitch. Okay. Let's go. Sorry about that.
It's like we live in a room and there's a poster on the wall.
Oh, I actually moved over to
Blue
Sky.
We think that's the whole world.
I decided that I was not going to be paying for fucking Twitter anymore.
And the poster.
Because Twitter sucks.
The picture's something nice. A landscape, a famous person. Like in that movie. What is it called? The prison movie.
The base.
The room's a cell, and the picture, it's different for each of us. It can be beautiful or terrible, but we're all transfixed.
Oh.
But it's all a lie. Something to distract us from the truth. They're lying to us. We're lying to ourselves. The room's not the world. The world is much bigger and much stranger.
You said half of it's traced? I mean,
there's a whole
like if you've altered it beyond like the tracing, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, sometimes you need to do that just to get like parts of your artwork going.
But sometimes something crawls out from behind the poster. And the ones that see it happen freak out and try to forget what they saw. I'm here. Why did you bring me here?
Alright, let me know if like the frame rates are dropping too much, because I can turn my model off too.
Anyone here?
Oh man, it's looking chunky on the screen, isn't it? The ads just started? Aww. Alright. Hold on, it's looking like I need to turn off my model, guys. I'm sorry. I really thought this would work with my model running, but it looks like the frame rate's kind of chunky. It's better when it's not a cutscene. Alright, let me turn off my model. You guys will just hear my my voice here. I'll be a disembodied voice once again. Just let me know when the ads stop, and then I'll play. Oh my god, that's so much smoother already. Now I'm just a ghost. I'm haunting the game, so I'll start actually like getting into the game here once that ads stop, so you guys can watch. My lovely wife wants to watch me play this game, so It probably restarted the ads because I had to restart the stream. Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, hell, if you didn't, like, tell us, like, nobody would probably know anyway. But yeah, you should follow me on Blue Sky, because that's where I do the art shares now, if you want to participate. Alright, I'm gonna go ahead and grab this. I am gonna go ahead and read these little things that I'm picking up here. Alright, so we got correspondence. Federal Bureau of Control. Reminder, certain objects are not allowed inside the Bureau. Recent incidents have necessitated an issued reminder on prohibited materials, unauthorized weapons, pagers, laptops, smart watches, smartphones, smart gaming devices, anything smart. Number 2, pencils. That's random. Any objects considered iconic representations of an archetypal concept, e.g., rubber ducks, ketchup bottles. All material under the Bureau investigation is to be brought through the private entrances. If you see any lobby personnel in breach of these policies, please notify your supervisor immediately. Hell yeah. My beautiful wife is back. Yeah, I just like ran in, I ran past like the security thing, and I am like picking things up, reading them. Ooh, the bathroom. Nothing crazy in here.
Federal Bureau of Control. All these years I've been looking for them, and they were hiding in plain sight.
I keep hitting the wrong button. Sorry. I want to read these collectibles here. Correspondence. Wait, we did that one. Security order. Federal Bureau of Control. Attention, all redacted. Redacted, redacted. A shark in his redacted, redacted. Although secure, redacted. Permission to redacted following basic protocol, redacted. Shoot to kill, redacted. Good luck. Okay. There's some sort of shark threat going on here. Did they make the Sharknado a reality? R4 reports reminder. Federal Bureau of Control. Hello. As you should all know by now, the R4 reports are due by the end of the week. We're still waiting for them from a number of people. If you need an extension, please request the form R4.E from your supervisor. If you think you're exempt from filing an R4, then you'll need to get written permission from your department chief saying so. Remember, R4s are mandatory under Section 75.2 of the Employee Manual. If your R4 requires interdepartmental claims, then please contact the appropriate department head, Dr. Darling, Miss Marshall, Mr. Salvador, or Mr. Kirkland, as needed. They'll be busy on Thursday in their annual policy review, so please schedule accordingly. Best, your admin team. Oh, I hear a person.
Hello?
What up,
Hey,
janitor?
excuse me.
There you are. You are here about the job. janitor's assistant. You need to go to the interview. Go that way to the elevator.
Thanks. Elevator that way. Got it.
Very good. I'm Ahti, the janitor, by the way. You'll work for me. You can say I sent you. If they don't hire you, then you are helmet. There be work for the axe. Take them behind the sauna, jumalauta.
What?
I've done enough night shift loner jobs to know it makes us come off weird. Ahti the janitor is a friendly face in my book.
Better than somebody with no face at all. Think about it. No face.
No
But that said,
face.
I know what you're thinking. If there's an axe murderer around, that's him.
Oh my god, it's kind of dark. Can you guys see everything okay? I might need to turn like the brightness up or the gamma up. Hey, Kachu! If you want, like I said, just give me a follow on Blue Sky if you don't mind, and then we can just check it out there.
The cell and the poster. I was 11 years old the first time I saw behind the poster. They told me I imagined it. I've been trying to pull it down ever since. Will you help?
Yo, say, what's up? Hell yeah, we got a whole party in here. This is awesome. That makes me happy. So they're kind of, the way she's describing it is like almost like looking behind the veil into like extra dimensional stuff, like at the different planes of reality that like overlap. That's what it sounds like to me. You know, because I assume that she's like a psychic or clairvoyant. So this game is called Control. There's like a new game for it coming out soon, so I've had this sitting in my Steam library for a while. So I figured I'd go ahead and give it a shot. Plus I like anything that has to do with like psychics or like, you know, like
Did I lose
crazy
you there
like
for a
quantum
moment?
physics or anything like that.
You know what's on my mind. My baby brother, Dylan. 17 years since the men of this bureau took him.
No, they took her brother? No, denied. That's an obnoxious noise. Internal lockdown in effect. Building lockdown in effect. Multiple containment breaches detected. Multiple building shifts detected. Head of research override. HRA protocol activated. That can't be good. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Federal Bureau of Control reminder: drafting any public-facing material while pending any notifications of death related to the Willow AWE. Please adhere to the following guidelines. Words, phrases to use. In the service of his/her country, regret, proud/pride, will be remembered. Word phrases to avoid: Alaska, scissors, blood, bleed, loss, and apologies, sorry. Oh. Hey, how's it going, Three Frogs? Welcome to the stream. We are... Oh. Oh, I ran into it. I bumped the physics, I guess. Alright, cool. Either that or, like I said, I think things are all fucky. Oh, they got like the old like tube system. Trying to find any more little tidbits to pick up because they seem like they're giving us like glimpses of like what's going on. Can't go in there. Just walks on tables, yeah. She's a free spirit. Let's just say that. Federal Bureau of Control. Barbara, I am not to be disturbed. Cancel all my appointments for the week. For the rest of the week. I can't trust them, Barbara. Not a single one. Trench. Oh. That didn't sound good.
Shit.
He's just taking a nap.
Shit.
I don't know what you're freaking out about.
You want me to pick it up? The murder weapon? Really? Something's outside. Was coming here a mistake?
Yeah, Trench is a pretty harsh and offensive name, I would say. Or maybe it's like kind of like a wordplay that it's like associating with something from like a deeper reality or something like that.
And there goes the poster.
Objects of power can cause or be results of AWE's altered world events, intrusions upon the perceived reality. Now, the service weapon is, of course, a prime example of an OOP, a very powerful one. Ingrained in the Bureau's DNA, a key component in our prime candidate program.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Come out of that Russian roulette a winner and you're it.
A ritual. Must choose to be the
This
chosen
place.
one.
Where am I?
Ooh, this is cool. Bubblegum Polaroid. Melee. What up, dude? Hell yeah. Just slap the shit out of him.
The same gun.
Ooh. It's all wibbly wobbly like.
Okay. Now I have a gun.
Word. It's all this blue. Eat it. I'm such a good shot, guys. Let me tell you. Oh. This one's like shooting at me. Oh, that guy's shooting at me. I hear you. Luckily, there are much more shots than I am. Okay, so the little blue things on the ground are health if I need it. Oh, I guess I'm the new director, huh?
This threat
Yeah,
Did you hear
they're
that?
just stormtroopers, yeah.
It's the dead man. Right after the pyramids
Oh, he'd
spoke
be
to me
much
and it was
better
just
if it was
noise,
J.K.
and
Simmons.
I understood every word. And this gun's alive.
Ooh, I like how it has that little
You know what?
effect. That's really
I'm
sick.
happy. Happy to be here.
Proceed into the bureau.
Things have quieted down outside. Is it safe to go?
Oh, I got a map now. Hell yeah. Oh, okay.
You can't let this happen. 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 You stopped it. You. Oh, thank you. That was horror.
Oh. Can I, like, take cover, or can I, like, dodge? That would be helpful. Oh. Undefined reading. Assets. Clearance level. You do not have clearance level. Okay. Alright, where am I? Here. Director's office. I guess gotta go to the yellow area, it seems.
The hotline. Secure line of communication. Guide us. Reach the hotline.
Oh shit. Fucking crap. Oh god. Where? Are they just like flipping into reality? Or am I just not seeing who they are? Oh, okay. See if they drop some health. I didn't even notice I actually got hit there. Can I go this way? I can. Kind of want to look around, make sure I'm not missing anything here. Oh. Cool. Wait, is it closing back up? Oh, you son of a bitch. Ooh, case files, records, and research. Here we go. Hisguard. The Bureau has many internal security personnel. The Hiss was quick to take advantage of this fact. Hiss guards use the standard issue bullpup rifles they carried prior to corruption. While the armored guards carried pump action shotguns, they have no observed paranatural abilities, with the exception that certain Hiss guards are protected by a shielding of dense Hiss resonance, capable of stopping bullets. Is this shielding a result of prolonged Hiss corruption? Does the Hiss mature in organic hosts over time? More data is needed. Did the hiss target individuals with combat training? Does the hiss have that level of cognizance? Does it utilize hosts for tasks that they're best suited to? Combat trained hosts are reserved for combat. These are all questions for later, though. It is obvious that corrupted individuals retain knowledge on their use of weapons. Refer to redacted for full report. There's a photo of Director Trench. Let's go. Case file. Service weapon. OOP1-KE. No unique procedures required. Description: para-utility. The object's form is variable. When bound, the object allows para-utilitarians to redact. This object must be bound by individuals seeking the role of blank. The object will determine whether blank. If rejected, the applicant is terminated. This process is dictated by the blank, though their criteria is unknown. The object was discovered inside the oldest house, in the room that is now used as the director's office. The popular hypothesis is blank. Many forms throughout history: blank, Mjolnir, Excalibur, Vara Nostra, all weapons that blank of their wielders. If objects of power are the convergence of forces based on the collective subconscious, then this may be the original manifestation of that event. If this is the case, blank. See Dr. Darling presentation 11.1 for more details. Ooh, that's cool. Okay. Let's go back. We got dinner reservations. Federal Bureau of Control. Dinner reservations at 7 p.m. at Chez Ombre. Wife will meet you there. Don't be late. Flowers are ready for you at the lobby. Remember, she is turning 46. Okay, so that might be important. Multimedia. Objects of power.
Objects of power.
Oh, okay, that's the one we already watched that. But that's cool. Hell yeah. So it's like there's little like neat little things like scattered about to find about the information about like, you know, things that are going on. So that's cool. The creepy like whispering and stuff is pretty neat. Oh. I didn't really get to like look around and explore that much, so I was freaking out because the guard's shooting at me. Alright, I don't have access to that. Did I gain? Okay, that's still red. Let's see, where am I now? Okay. Did I miss the reference on the in the restaurant or something? Oh, here's something. Correspondence. Executive meeting minutes. Federal Bureau of Control. Agenda items for next executive meeting. Rising costs of AWE response. Update on mold eradication efforts. Upcoming annual salary review. A new supplier of coffee filters to be found and vetted. Please come prepared. Thank you for your time. Yeah, Pensy, you know, that's pretty normal, right? It's just to hear all these crazy voices all the time. Alright, I think I'm gonna go in here first. See what's going on. Ooh. Ooh, health boost. Personal mod. Weapon mod. Personal mod, here we go. Health boost, astral health boost. Nice. Hell yeah. Okay, that's cool. Where is unread? Security or inner trench, do not disturb. Oh, here we go. Marshall, we checked out the suspected AWE in Duluth. Wasn't anything, just like the house fire before this and the malfunctioning clothes dryer before that. My team is getting pretty sick of duds. We need to find a better way to sort the fake AWDs from the real things. Or you need to rotate these field agents off for a bit. Anyway, we're en route to Sherman Ranch. Next one on the list. Let's hope it's a little livelier there. Sincerely, Special Agent Keenum. It was Chez Ombre with like an A, something like that, or Shay. It was like AMBRE or something like that, if I remember right. Central Executive.
The hissing sound that tried to invade me earlier. The hiss. Burrowing into everything in this place.
Is the hiss your enemy? Alright, it's our enemy.
That babble's contagious. It burrows in like an infuriating melody that makes you hum it over and over.
Alright. It's not letting me do anything with that. Visitor evaluations. How to handle unscheduled visitors entering the lobby. Start with the following. Welcome to the Federal Bureau of Control, established in 1964 as a part of an effort to strengthen government relations. We are proud to serve the United States and her people as we strive for transparency and excellence in all aspects of our esteemed nation's infrastructure. If they do not leave, then ask them these questions. Are you here to see someone? Are you from New York City or just visiting? How'd you find this place? If their answers are sufficiently harmless, explain that this is a secure federal office and that they'll need to leave. If their answers seem redacted, escort them to a private room. There, perform the gunner's psychological assessment. If their responses are within the acceptable range of deviance, see the provided score sheet, then redact it immediately. There's no such thing as too suspicious. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like it. There's a lot of mystery to be uncovered here. Sorry, I feel like these are important, and that's why I'm reading these. Summary. Let's see. Examination of paranatural topics. Urban legends. Urban legends are believed to affect the creation of altered materials, but can also dictate the characteristics of an altered world event. Urban legends are understood as the modern evolution of Jung's archetypes. We recognize certain redacted, informed by our own redacted, and popularized by our media. We have additionally proven that urban legends can even be artificially redacted. In popular culture using Redacted, our Bureau-made anthology television program. Once the seeds are sown, human imagination exacerbates the details. Certain paranatural phenomena contain clear elements of popularized folklore. AWEs that only occur on Redacted are a pair of scissors that consume human Redacted through two punctures on the Redacted. These details living in the minds of so many have given strength through belief. Urban legends are not just stories for children, they are paranatural realities waiting to happen. Refer to file 4-93-6942 for full report. Yeah, so it's like manifesting, like almost like tulpa-like creatures, or possibilities through mass consciousness, like focusing their mind and energies on a particular story. or a narrative, basically. So that's really cool. I really like stuff like this. Like, this is fucking awesome. I can't see. I'm gonna turn the brightness up a little bit, because I am an old man and I need to be able to see. I'm gonna turn this up to 80 and hopefully I can see a bit better. Yeah, jump. Yep. Shit. Oh no. Oh no, it's bad. I gotta get the hell. No! I gotta blast better. Alright. That did not go so well. You lose 10% of your source every time you die. Oh man, it's got me all the way back here now. Okay, so I already opened that. Okay.
The hissing sound that tried to evade me earlier.
Can I are these guys
Burrowing
out
into
before
everything
I
in this
jump
place.
down?
Is the hiss your enemy? Alright, it's our enemy.
Okay.
Must cleanse control points.
Well, that went a lot better.
Corrupt.
Reload efficiency. Can I put a different mod on it? Or is that Astral Reload Efficiency? Alright, cool.
Cleanse the control point.
Oh, yeah, we're saying,
Help me
yeah.
fix it.
Alright. Oh. Ooh, I get to cleanse it. Ooh, that's cool. Oh, shit. Hell yeah. This is fucking sick.
Holy shit! You did it! We did it!
Hello? Can you hear me? Are you with us?
I can't tell you how happy I am to talk to somebody sane.
The feeling's mutual. Yeah, I'm Pope, Emily Pope, Dr. Darling's assistant.
My turn. Should I lie?
Jesse Faden. I'm just visiting.
I should have lied.
Oh, shit. You're the new director. Hold on. We're coming out.
They were just hiding, watching this happen.
Director Faden. Call me Jesse.
Okay, Jesse. I'm Emily.
Like, somehow, this hostile force, this
Hiss?
that works. Somehow the hiss managed to infiltrate the building without any warning.
And just like that, my name for it is official. The hiss. Like the sound of poison gas leaking in.
We're in full lockdown. It seems to have spread everywhere and to everyone not protected by an HRA.
Oh, yeah.
And
If I wasn't a psychic,
extraordinarily,
yeah, I'd be hyped too.
You are the director, and that makes you special by definition. Trench is no longer the director, obviously. I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. This whole situation is just a lot.
Trench is dead. Shot.
Ah,
I found his body. And the gun.
Do I tell her it looked like a suicide?
the service weapon.
Also, and this can sound crazy, but he keeps appearing to me.
I wonder why the graphics are
Saying
all
things?
fluffy right now.
It's hard to make out, but he told me to cleanse the control point, push the hiss out. The whole room shifted around.
You did that? And you entered the building when it was already in the lockdown before you became the new director? How?
I'm not ready to tell her about you yet.
A janitor let me in.
I love it. This is fucking unbelievable. I can't even. Look, Jesse, I have a million questions, and you probably have a million more.
Like, do you know my brother Dylan? Not yet.
But there's something I need to ask you to do first. If you can cleanse a control point, then you can maybe cure those infected or possessed by the hiss. Because if that's possible, our options are very different.
Emily Pope. I don't know her, but I like her already. She's the opposite of the faceless agency I've blamed for what happened to me for so long.
She could also be
But
acting.
I can't trust her yet. Or rather, the bureau she's a part of.
Yes. I can try.
I'm speaking for you, of course. We can try it together.
Does she have an entity within her,
Okay.
and that's why
You
she's
with me?
like a psychic?
We did it before. Push the hiss out.
They're just doing the fent flop. They just explode.
It didn't work. The hiss has burrowed too deep. Ripping it out rips them apart.
Assets. Oh, conceptual material, house memory. Oh, I got some more clearance, looks like. Hidden trend. Research and records. Hiss agent. Let's see. The hiss manifests in human hosts in numerous ways. The most common and least intense form is seen in the many corrupted agents floating throughout the Bureau. The hiss agents have maintained their human appearance, undergoing no obvious physical transformation. The most notable distinction from an unaffected human is the fact that they levitate. These hiss have displayed no aggressive behavior. They only seem interested in vocalizing the strange incantation ad infinitum. Perhaps these vessels are only meant to propagate the hiss corruption, like spores or Wi-Fi boosters. Or are they cocoons preparing to enter their next stage of evolution? When attacked, hissed agents disappear, perhaps entering a state of invisibility or undergoing a transformation into a purely resonant form. Research is ongoing. Refer to the redacted file for the full report.
Jesse, over here.
Well,
We need to make a plan, Jesse.
I'm sorry, Pope, but they went piff. What does this do? Fast travel outfits? Oh. Civilian, tactical response. Astral dive suit. Urban response. Oh. Okay. That's cool. Let's see, is there anything I can pick up around here before she starts yapping at me? Boo. You don't tell me what to do, I'm the director. Oh. I'm sorry, Emily, but I need to snoop. I am a very snoopy person by default. Yeah, it only has awful music on it. That's why it's locked up. So you can't play it here. It's just terrible. No human being should be subjected to that music. I'm gonna go snoop around now that the infection's been cleansed. Alright, can't go that way. Can't help these people, apparently. Will this work now? I don't know what the purpose of hitting that thing is. Alright, I'm done stupid. Action bastard! Parkour!
I can't cleanse them.
I saw. It was worth a shot. Thank you, Director. Jesse.
I'm gonna tell her why I'm here. I'll risk it.
Listen, the Bureau was involved in an incident in my hometown, Ordinary.
Look why the graphics are getting so
17 years
janky.
ago. The Bureau came in and covered the whole thing up. I've been looking for this place for a long time.
That's enough. Maybe that's too much already. I can't tell her about Dylan and the rest yet.
I've seen mentions of an Altered World event case dealing with Ordinary. You were at Ground Zero as a child? It was one of the big ones, and before my time. And very classified. I can try to dig out some old files for you. My boss, Casper Darling, would know, but he's missing. I think he knew this was coming, or suspected. He came up with the HRAs, the Hadron Resonance Amplifiers. I think they're what saved us. Or a few of us.
I was just about to ask
Director
about their
Trench,
silly
you know.
chess things.
Trench, the ghost, or whatever he is, he mentioned something called the Hotline. Said I should find it.
It's another object of power, like the gun, an old Bakelite telephone, a direct line of communication between the director and the board. Maybe he can talk to you more clearly through that. I mean, Trench has years and years of experience. He might know how to destroy the hiss.
Where is the hotline?
It's kept in the communications department through the mailroom. It's part of this sector, so we can access it even with the lockdown in place. We'll get the door open for you.
Okay, that's my next stop.
That's Tomasi's department. He's the head of communications. I don't think he had an HRA. He kind of made a point about not wearing one earlier. Keep an eye out.
So he's probably infected
They call
because
me
he
the
didn't wear the
director.
silly vest.
But that's not me. I'm not a director type. I'm not a leader.
I'm the internal
Why am I
monologue type.
here? I think you already know. Yes, I came for my brother, but there are other reasons too. I said I was looking for answers, but I might never understand them. I'm not looking for proof. This is already it. More than enough. No matter what they told me all those years, I know it's real now. I didn't imagine
Psychologists
this.
like gaslighter.
I want to be a part of this world. What scares me shitless is that I finally found it. Only to see the hiss destroy it all.
They're just listening to the snake jazz. All the time. Oh, I do not miss those phones. Let's see. Let's see if we can mess with the graphics a little bit. Maybe we can make it look a little bit better. Try turning VSync back on. Let's do that on high. Medium, volumetric. Foliage doesn't really matter that much. I'm going to put that on low. Auto, medium, high. MSS. MSAA. I don't know what the hell that is. I feel like ray tracing will probably make it freak out, so.
I know this is all new to you, so don't hesitate to ask me anything you want to know. There are no stupid questions.
Right,
the door to the comms department is
looking better.
The hotline should be in the communications department.
It's a little choppy though, I guess.
Where did the hiss come from?
I'm not sure. You said the hiss was here when you entered. Did you see anything like that outside before you came in?
No. No, just inside.
The source is internal then. See, the oldest house is a sprawling complex with openings to other places as well. I don't even know where to start looking. But in the context, it's good news. The lockdown holds. The hiss escaping the building would be the end. Pretty shitty world out there if you ask me, but I wouldn't want the hiss to destroy it.
With you on that, Emily. You mentioned the oldest house. What is it?
This building, the Bureau headquarters, the oldest house, is a shifting place. You've seen it. It transcends its physical limits.
I've been to New York a few times. How didn't I notice this place?
It's an attribute of the building. This is a place of power. The oldest house doesn't like attention, so unless you're purposely trying to find it, you don't, which is perfect for us. The work we do here is essential, but unstable. The Bureau prefers not to be noticed. And we need strong walls to make sure nothing gets out.
So without you, I never would have found the front door.
Okay. This Trench guy. I keep hearing him in my head. Is he a ghost? Haunting me?
I doubt we're talking about a ghost in the traditional sense, but an echo maybe. See, if he was killed by the service weapon, your gun, maybe it's his final thoughts recorded by the bullet in his brain, like a deep space probe sending back data. But that's just a hypothesis on my part. I'd need the gun to research it. But you better hold on to that given the circumstances.
I think I will. Yeah. Can you tell me what an object of power is exactly? This is all, well, new to me.
Don't worry, I love going over the basics. So objects of power are mundane objects that house paranatural energies and have developed a link to the astral plane and can thus be controlled, which is what differentiates them from altered items, which are still housings of paranatural forces, but are more volatile and cannot be bound in the peri-utilitarian sense. Got it?
Did she memorize this?
Got it. Thanks.
Hedron response amplifiers.
So
Ooh.
HRAs stop you from becoming hiss.
Wait, it seems that way. I mean, I hadn't even heard of an HRA until a few weeks ago when Dr. Darling started handing them out. Well, I began analyzing mine as soon as I got it. I mean, each one seems to emit a powerful short-range frequency way beyond anything I've ever seen.
Doesn't the timing seem suspicious?
I thought that too. Dr. Darling usually likes to unveil his latest breakthrough in big presentations. With these, he just passed them out. His behavior makes me wonder what exactly he knew.
I mean, yeah, that seems pretty fucking sus. Like, right before a
Thanks,
major
Emily.
event, they
I'm
just
sure
happen
I'll
to
have
have
more
the thing to
questions
help
soon.
some people.
Just let me know.
Alright, let's see. Where am I? I'm in the boardroom, and I need to go north. Ooh. Gimme. Undefined reading. Portrait of director Zachariah Trench. The only person you should fail, oh, excuse me, is yourself. Alright. I was expecting that to be some sort of like upgrade or something, but not so much, huh? Ooh, stuff. More reading. At least the stuff is that we're reading here is interesting. Wait, what is this? I don't see a thing for it. Oh, unknown caller? No. That's my... Oh, I just really like to snoop. You know, if me reading every little thing gets, like, dull or boring or anything, please let me know. I just like this kind of stuff, so... Bureau expenditures. Staffing, surveillance, redacted, data center initiative, construction, redacted, minor office equipment, janitorial costs, redacted, mold removal, high quality livability costs. For cost breakdown spreadsheet, see page 5. For 5-year comparison chart, see page 9. They keep mentioning mold quite a bit. I wonder if they're implying that mold is something other than it presents itself as. Shifted bathroom complaint. Listen, I know you can't control building shifts, but the executive level restroom has been missing for weeks now. I worked my ass off in the Islamabad station for 3 years. I've earned the right to a nice workplace shitter. If you can't bring it back, at least find out where it went. D. Rodriguez. God, that would suck. Material, house memory. Okay, so maybe it's materials that I'm finding. Yeah, I can't imagine the level of panic I would have if the bathroom just suddenly just disappeared. I'd be like, fuck this, I quit, like, immediately. Alright, I can't go in there. Snoop in, hell yeah, finding stuff. House memory material. Okay, so there's got to be at some point where I can find like maybe a station or something to do like upgrades. I kind of like that their looks like a lot of their technology is kind of like retro as well. Like their computer systems seem to be shatter projectile boost. Exclusive to shatter. Okay. I'm definitely interested to see what kind of like things I can do with like my weapons and like my psychic abilities. Okay, I've already been in here. Alright. So I need to go like up. I need to go like this way, but also down. Alright, that's to the director's office, so I've been through there. Trying to think of the way to get there. I haven't been in here yet. I don't think. Maybe I did. Maybe I found something in here and read it. Alright, maybe I need to go down. That's the boardroom. There we go, this is the way. So there's like a little visual indicator of like which way I'm supposed to go, so that's good.
There it is again. Our welcome message.
Room mirror. View your insides of the door. Push fingers to service into the wet. Oh my god. I don't like that. I don't like that. Shit. Go get the health. Undefined reading. Travel costs. Correspondence. Travel costs. Week 83 report. Summary. Visited the following Nevada accommodations. Desert Sun Inn. Big Sky Motel. Starlight Motel. In and Out. Aztec Court. Sleepy Bear Motel, Silver Spurs Ranch, El Gato Blanco, so the White Cat Inn, A Plus Lounge, accommodation $831.29, meals $714.84, gasoline $295.12. That would be so much higher these days. Minibar $313.61. God damn. Doing lots of drinking. I do wonder if a motel called the Ocean View is going to be found in a landlocked state. But hey, I guess I'm not paid to think, right? And for the record, I again request that you give us the budget to get 2 rooms each night. Agent Rowley and myself are very tired of sleeping in the same room. See you on the road, Agent L. Hines. The boys in research set performing rituals may help identify any places of power. Drinking those little whiskeys is my ritual. Okay. Alright, alright. Sure, buddy. I believe you. Wink, wink. Cafeteria. Jesus, they're loud. I guess I'm supposed to cleanse this, so let's go this way. Oh, okay.
It's overpowering here.
Maybe not so much.
You don't want me anywhere near it. I'm with you on that.
That's what I thought. I was like, this area is way too open to not have enemies in it. Great shot. I don't know what you're talking about. They call me Deadeye Aniki. I don't know what you mean. I never miss a shot. Oh, man. Unstable area notice. Oh, I got research and records too. Hiss barrier. The Hiss resonance field is a physical impediment that is difficult to define. Hiss barriers appear as ways to impede escape or access by Bureau personnel. Two methods have been discovered for lowering them. One, destroy the multiple concentrated resonance sources found in the vicinity. Two, destroy the Hiss entities in the area. The resonance fields seem to require support for their size and density from other non-connected sources of Hiss resonance. Without the ability to draw these sources, the barrier will fall. Does an inactive structure made of Hiss resonance qualify as a conscious being? Does the distinction make a difference when considering the Hiss? What does the very act of building walls to prevent our movement tell us about the Hiss? To what degree is it watching and planning? Refer to the redacted for full report. Oops. Please be aware, due to the recent fluctuations in the nearest control point, this area's stability has been downgraded to yellow. Reference chart: green stable, yellow low possibility of unanticipated building shifts, orange high likelihood of anticipated building shifts, red frequent unanticipated building shifts. Man, that sucks to be like, oh, there's a good chance I'm gonna get spirited away to somewhere random, so. You're just walking around minding your own fucking business. And then the building just starts, like, shifting around. Alright, well, that's the way I'm supposed to go. So I'm assuming if I cleanse some of these areas here, I can get through the machine god. Ooh, that sounds interesting. Dead letters. Had a dream, and I built the thing I saw in my dream, a machine that will contain God, but not the God you know or the ones anyone knows, a new God. This machine will be his body, his heart, and his mind. I made it just like the dream showed me. I used the motor from the refrigerator and the coils from my toaster and the fans plus the timing belt from my car's engine and the wheels from my son's skateboard. God can't move yet, but the dream said he would learn how to on his own. This is just a beginner's body, like a baby's, but a machine instead. God only needs a place to start. If you want to interview me, please contact me at the address on the envelope. My phone does not work anymore. I had to use the dialing plate on God. That's cool, I guess. Oh my god, it's still so hard to see these areas. Alright. I was gonna say, I hear actual music. Oh, hi. I can't fucking see. I don't know what's going on here. Singing fish. Ooh, a headshot boost. Singing fish. Mr. Governor, I called the police, but they never come to my house. I got a problem and you got to send folk to fix it. I got my wife one of them singing fish on the walls. It's not a real fish, it sings when you hit a button, but it's got the devil in it. It flies around at night and sings devil songs, says a lot of cuss words. The devil got in my house because of the fish, and you got to come handle it. My wife is real upset. When can you come? Sincerely, Dwayne, I can't spell bar. Wait, I got some sort of headshot mod here too. Wait, what's the difference between these things? Health recovery per element pickup 20%. Astral health boost. That seems more useful. Ooh, headshot damage. Exclusive to spin grip, shatter, and pierce. Yeah, that sounds pretty dope. Where'd you go? Oh, I see. Yeah, it's giving me more health back when I pick up the blues, so that's helpful. Trench, dead letter approval. Greetings, Director Trench. I'd like to thank you for approving my request for the Dead Letters Archive. Cataloging the Bureau's collection of delinquent mail will provide an extremely handy database that research teams can use to search for any connections or related topics found among the letters. Aside from the more functional purposes, the archive will allow us to preserve these windows into authentic human encounters with the paranatural world. The letters came to us from various places and times, gathered by the Postal Service as undeliverable. The Bureau is the perfect home for them. I realize not all letters contain accounts of a genuine paranatural events, but even the erogenous ones allow us insight into how the unknown is perceived by real people. Of course, I will first compile a system to allow us to analyze the letters for any information or suspected connections to AWEs and other altered materials. So thank you again. Can't wait to delve into my dead letters. P. Bartwell. This guy's like, I just want to read some wild shit. That's my favorite thing to do. That's where I just was. This game is really cool. I really like it. Now I'm really stoked about the new one coming out. escalating quickly. Oh, this is where it escalates. Oh shit, he exploded. Hell yeah. This game's fucking awesome. Navigate through communications.
We're on the right track.
Let's go around and put back on it. See anything I might have missed. That's the way. Oh, God. I need cover. Oh my God. Shit. Back myself into a corner here. No! Oh, I need the health! Need the health! No! I did not expect there to be, like, dudes. Like, right fucking here. I guess they respawn. Oh, damn it. That'd be cool. Like an eldritch, like, god of some type. Oh, man. Use the sprint to dodge enemy rockets and telekinetic attacks. I mean, a dodge button in general would be awesome, so, you know. Just saying, if there was a dodge button. I haven't come across it yet. Alright, so we're not gonna go back that way for now. Ooh, here's something.
Just look at it. 8 inches wide and capable of storing a whopping 80 kilobytes. Stolen by our friends at the CIA, the disk held the launch codes to Soviet nukes.
That is the biggest
This is not the
floppy I've
disk,
ever
of course,
seen.
but one exactly like it. A perfect fusion of concepts vibrating in the Cold War era collective unconscious. A receptacle. It is a receptacle for dangerous energies to hone in on. And they did. We don't have the details, but when things started flying around the disk, it was transferred to us. It's an object of power. OOP. Oops. Oh, and it can launch things telekinetically through the air. To date, we've launched maybe 3 dozen pencils. And once, we even launched a cup.
I don't know why I like this guy. That's probably why you can't bring number 2 pencils in, though. Because, like, they might go, like, flying.
We're on the right track.
least this... Oh, that looks, inviting. Totally normal, nothing suspicious or anything that would be bothering me. Undefined reading. Yeah, it looks like these are like sealed off here. Wait, did that come? No. Man, this game... this game would suck to play as a schizophrenic. Okay. Yeah, that wall is big, man. It's like, fuck no. Book Club Simpson by L. Simpson. So I don't usually read a lot of sci-fi, but as far as space operas go, this was alright. The title, Unless You, could refer to a bunch of things in the book, I guess, but I think it was a little vague and stupid. The way the characters kept throwing it around almost like a catchphrase got real annoying real fast. The best part of the story was the space battles. I sided with the Fixers, obviously, because they had the coolest tech and their motives made the most sense to me. Honestly, if I had to choose between some hoity-toity flowers and guns space hippies, or a badass bunch of warriors who go around devouring planets like cheap sushi on a Sunday, I know who I'm picking. That scene where they invade City Planet and convert the entire population using those brainworms, and the space dogfight between those two ace pilots, sign me the fuck up. What kind of ruined the whole thing for me was when my favorite character got killed, not even halfway through the story, by getting a battery cylinder launched into his face by a gravitational anomaly. His death didn't feel necessary at all. I do kind of wonder if they're saying, like, these sci-fi things that people have written and creative, if they get, like, popular enough to become an anomaly themselves. Whee! Whoa! I conquered! Oh god! Wait. Oh, I can fucking crouch? You wait till now to tell me that I can crouch? I've only had shit like shooting at me this whole fucking game. Are you kidding me? Oh! It's breaking through the door. I didn't think you could do that. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I see. Oh, it's the disc. Oh shit, am I gonna get telekinesis now?
It's harder to hear you when I'm here.
Oh, me too. Running is clicking the left stick in, and I hate
The
that.
board's in charge here.
Ooh,
They're pyramids
yeah.
and bureau seal. Are they really the ones pulling the strings?
Hell yeah, I can
I'm
pick shit
not
up and
their
throw it
director.
now.
I'm no one's director.
Yes. Yes. fucking go. Ah. Hell yeah. I was wondering when I was gonna get some cool abilities here. Fuck out of the way. It's so much better than the gun. Fuck the gun. Why would I even use the gun if I had this? Oh, there's like a cooldown on it. Where are you shooting at me? There you go. Hell yeah. Oh man, I'm excited now. I had the almighty yeet. That's awesome.
There you are. You were gone. Cut off. I got it. Just like you wanted, right? This will help me fight the hiss.
So much better. Oh yeah. With the power of yeet, you can do anything. Exactly.
Emily said that the hotline can be reached through the mailroom.
They give me like lots of things that can be yeeted. What the fuck? Oh. You ain't shit. I can yeet things now. Ah, this is awesome. I love it. Hell yeah. Exactly what I was looking for in a game where you're like a fucking psychic. And break stuff. With the power of yeet, I beseech you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go like mad with power immediately. There's no doubt. Here, let's go over here real quick. You guys are getting pretty loud there. Boo.
Locked. Maybe there's a key nearby.
Ooh. Flame control point. Hell yeah. Well, it's mine now.
This must open the door.
Can I pick him up? Oh. Hell yeah. Look around. so fucking dark in here. Can't see a goddamn thing. Okay. Like, if I were, like, a psychic IRL, I would be such a problem. I can guarantee you, like...
You're listening to America Overnight, mystifying the airwaves for more than 29 years. Thank you for staying on with us. Ghosts. We've had many callers over the years tell us of hauntings, voices, and other phantasmagorical phenomena. Today, friend of the show, Dr. Quincy Reagan tells his story. Quincy,
thanks. This is something I experienced recently while staying at Chili Pines Motel in Macon for last year's SuspiciaCon. I was in room 47.
SuspiciaCon.
My manager, an avid listener of the program, insisted I take this particular room. Now, the manager explained that years back, the body of a man was discovered under the bed. Inside that wooden border that motel beds tend to have. Body had been there a week, he said. Guests had stayed there, sleeping with the corpse a foot below. They only found the body when housekeepers complained about the smell.
I was gonna say, it would stink.
Hauntings have been reported in room 47 ever since. I happily took the room. I fell asleep pretty quick, checking under the bed first, of course. No ghosts visited me, no chilly spots or flickering lights. But when I woke up, I found myself under the bed. It was dark and stiflingly hot. Luckily, I was able to push the mattress off and crawl out before I suffocated. The night manager was kind enough to find me another room.
There you have it, listeners. What we call ghosts take many forms. Quincy was brave enough to tell his story, and I encourage you to keep calling and writing whenever you encounter something strange, something you can't explain. Maybe you're seeing colors that we have no name for. Maybe your toaster is possessed. Remember, dear listeners,
nice.
When no one else believes you, we do. America Overnight, we'll be right back.
Nice. That's cool. Neat little story, like in the middle of everything. I like these like random like safe rooms. House memory. Oh, what the? Okay. Well, guess what I got for you? And a yeet for you. Everybody gets the yeet. No one is safe from the yeet. Alright, that's where I got the control point. Alright, so I did a good amount of exploring. So very, yep, I was gonna say large open area here. Oh shit, it's a boss.
Great.
We're gonna have a yeet battle. Ow! Fucking Christ, that hurts. Oh god. I failed in my yeet battle. Pressing S switches between the two equipped service weapons form? Wait, I have a different form I can use on my gun? Since when? Alright. This time will be different.
Fine. Great.
Oh, he's got fucking minions too. I guess that's like get health back. Oh, run! Ah! Ah, this is stressful. Oh my god. Okay, I kinda see. I think I'm supposed to yeet these guys and then shoot him. I'll use them to farm health while I shoot him. Ow! Fucking Christ. Where's my idiot? That's not good. Oh no! Well, surely this time will be different. It's like, it makes you feel powerful, and then it's like, guess what? You're not really that strong. Alright.
Fine. Great.
Did he just fucking teleport? Wait. I need health. Fuck. Oh god! I missed just like every shot. Give me health. There we go. Oh my god. run! God damn it! The fucking controls are so shitty for, like, running. Maybe if I just, like, pick pop shots out of here. Right there. Ooh. Be nice if I had like a regular heal or something. There you go. There he is. Did I find a cheese spot? I think I did. Where is he? I'm scared. I don't know where he is now. Oh, there he is. Oh, fuck! Okay. So we found a cheese spot. Oh my god. I am not good at eating under pressure, apparently. Okay. Alright.
They can fly now. Great.
After all, you can fly. Fuck. Go, buddy. Come on, man. It's cool. Oh, there it is. He seems to only stay in the big open area, so that's good at least. Oh, you're slick. greedy. Hell yeah. Do I have a phase 2 that's gonna be much more difficult?
I have a feeling he'll be back.
Oh, okay. Well, that was it. Hell
Let's stay
yeah.
focused.
I figured out how to cheese him. His demolition expert. The Bureau only allows certain highly trained individuals to handle volatile materials and weaponry. Our demolition experts are instructed to use explosives in dimensions with distinct physical laws, making them important assets for engineering work as well as combat situations. His demolition experts, oh my god, if I could read, are the only observed his variations to wield the specifically built rocket-propelled grenade that is designed to identify and track redacted entities once fired, making them a threat whose termination should be prioritized in combat scenarios. I find it remarkable that his restrict usage of this weapon to the Bureau personnel who trained specifically for its use. What does this tell us about its behavior? Can it not pass along new information to corrupted entities? Still too many unknown. Refer to the redacted file for the full report. His elevated agents display abilities similar to telekinetic competencies observed in Bureau para-utilitarians. Some prefer to charge their targets, while others launch objects at them. Telekinetic attacks have been ineffective against this Hiss elevated due to their own talent in the area. They do not use weaponry except for their own paranatural capabilities. Some Hiss elevated have been seen levitating while strapped into chairs. This is likely the result of individuals being corrupted while undergoing cognitive recording in parapsychology. How are they able to use paranatural abilities? Is it possible that these individuals were bound to objects of power prior to corruption? It's also worth considering that his residents can identify and express latent paranatural ability in the individuals it corrupts. Refer to redacted file for the full report. The Rangers are the Bureau's well-trained and well-armed expeditionary forces. Their Hiss-corrupted counterparts are equally formidable. Prior to corruption, Rangers were trained to use a variety of weapons in order to face any threat found during awe response or threshold exploration, including submachine guns, assault rifles, and automatic shotguns. Hiss Rangers utilize these weapons as well as the advanced tactics taught by the Bureau instructors. Some are additionally outfitted with Bureau-made body armor. Hiss Rangers have no observed paranatural abilities beyond some being protected by shielding of dense Hiss resonance capable of stopping bullets. Considering the advanced training the Hiss Rangers are capable of applying to their situation, is it feasible to consider the human mind still remains intact to some degree? Or is the Hiss able to tap into this combat training and utilize it? Further observation is required. Refer to redacted for the whole thing. Floppy disk must be contained in a cell with no other loose material. The object is an 8-inch diskette containing Soviet-era nuclear launch codes. Jesus Christ, I'm getting tongue-tied. When bound, the object allows para-utilitarians to telekinetically lift material and throw it a short distance. See Dr. Dowling presentation 11.15 for more information. The object is currently bound to blank for research purposes. Stolen from a Soviet military base located in blank by agents blank and blank with the CIA, the diskette contained launch codes to blank missiles believed to be reserved for use against blank. After being returned to America, the diskette began throwing computational hardware at members of the decoding team. An informant in the CIA tipped the Bureau off it was requisitioned by agents the next day. And this is probably just the video. Oh, American Overnight. Oh, okay, okay, cool.
Hotline should be past the mailroom.
Let me see if I can go down and, like, save here, because we're getting at a point where I probably should save and continue this tomorrow. Because Havoc is going to stream today, and I will be co-hosting, so let's see. I wonder if these control points is where I'm supposed to save. Yeah, my I don't know. I don't know if it's because of just being like tongue-tied after a while or what. Alright, let's try this menu. I hope I've already saved here. You will return to the last checkpoint if you quit the main menu. Let me actually see if I can get to like what seems to be a checkpoint. I don't want to have to fight that boss again. I mean, I'm sure there's a checkpoint after I just completed the boss, but I just want to be sure. I'd be really frustrated if I had to do that again. Butte Summary, or Butte. A spate of disappearances was traced to a home in the city of Butte, where Bureau agents discovered a translocative light switch cord. Bureau agents at the home of local celebrity located at blank blank, which had been connected to a total of blank disappearances in the area. Agents found no one inside. While searching a closet, an agent pulled the light switch cord and disappeared from view. God damn, that sucks. Another agent was selected to pull the cord in order to replicate the event. He disappeared as well. Both agents were discovered at the oldest house blank days later, found in a sealed room by rangers exploring a new area of the house. The light switch cord on the Butte home's closet disappeared during this incident. That's pretty cool. I like that. Alright.
Alright, take this down. The situation in Cuba has been evaluated by the relevant authorities. The mysterious illness affecting the staff at the U.S. Embassy in Havana was caused by sonic weaponry in the hands of a foreign power. Numerous personnel have damage to the inner ear, but most are expected to make a full recovery. Of course, the event also damaged their cellular walls, but we can't blame that on some stupid noise gun. Thank God no local doctors examined them first. Honestly, what are the odds an alternate item would show up inside a U.S. embassy? Talk about good luck, huh? So much easier to... Hey, are you still recording this?
I mean, maybe you shouldn't say some dumb shit, like... Launch efficiency. Cool.
The hotline can't be far now.
Rate of fire boost. Hotline chamber. Hotline security log. All visitors must check in. We have 8/19/2019, 2:45 p.m. Director Trench. 8/26/2019, 12:13 p.m. Director Trench. 8/31/2019, 11:09 p.m. Bill Everett, Custodian. 9/02/2019, 2:45 p.m. Director Trench. 09/09/2019, 2:45 Director Trench. 9/14/2019, 10:57 p.m. Bill Everett, custodian. 9/16/2019, 2:45 p.m. Director Trench. 9/23/2019, 2:45 p.m. Director Trench. 9/28/2019, 9:13 a.m. Director Trench. 9/28/2019, 10:59 p.m. Bill Everett, custodian. And then we have Director Trench, and then we have the custodian, and then we have Carl Bishop, also a custodian at the end. Ooh, there's a thing over here. According to their testimony, the agents that had been transported from the Butte home to a roadside motel named the Ocean View Motel and Casino and discovered a room key by performing a ritual. See file MOT-01. The key opened a door marked with an inverted black pyramid, which they only learned after a lengthy period of trial and error. After pulling another motel cord found inside this room, they were transported to the oldest house. The disappearances of the home's owner and the other locals of Butte have been attributed to the light switch cord. The Ocean View Motel is now known to have many doors and pathways. Since the occurrence, identical light switch cords to the one found in the Butte home have begun appearing throughout the oldest house. At the time of writing, blank light cords have been found in the oldest house located in blank and blank sectors. These all access the Ocean View Motel, though how exactly this link operates is blank, but an initial hypothesis centered on the Butte AWE as a blank blank. See Dr. Darling, presentation 24.3 for more details. Cool. Alright. Let's see. Am I going the right way? Hope I am. No, that's the way I came in. This way.
The Ocean View Motel and Casino. Dream logic. The light switch cord. Door marked with a black pyramid.
I didn't think that would kill me. I was like, what happens if I get down here? Okay. Hold on, do I? It better not make me fight this boss again. I just want to run here and see. Okay, I did. Alright. So, this looks like a good place to call it. We found out that does that. So let me throw you guys in the lobby here so we can do a wrap up. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I played Control today. I am really enjoying this game so far. It is really, really cool. It's given me, like, you know, kind of connections to things that they talk about a lot in, like, various, like, paranormal stuff. Like, you know, if you guys don't listen to the Creepcast podcast, it's a bunch of, like, horror, where they read horror stories, and sometimes they involve, like, things that are kind of like this. So it's giving me those kind of vibes. Shameless self-promotion here. I do now have my Patreon live. I do have a link for it in my description on my profile, also on my socials. Make sure you guys check that out for the opportunity to participate in the new OC art raffle. And I will also be putting out video with audio tutorials, and I will be doing sneak peeks of things that I am working on exclusively on there. So be sure to check that out. Please follow me when I see you go what if you want to see when I go live? Oh my god, I cannot speak. That would be great. Consider subscribing if you have Amazon Prime. There's a little button that would help me out tremendously. I will be back hopefully on time tomorrow with the same game tomorrow. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye.